All right, everybody, welcome back. We are diving deep today
Keep.
into something that's really kind of crazy that's happening right now.
It is.
As we are in the final
Yeah.
days of this election,
It is.
we're seeing some pretty fascinating tactics being used
Absolutely.
by both sides, obviously.
Of course.
But what we're going to focus on today is something that I think is particularly
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it has to do with how Trump is using transgender issues specifically
Yes.
to target a certain demographic.
Yes.
And we'll get into the details of that.
Absolutely.
But before we get into all of that,
Yeah.
I just want to say to everybody out there watching,
Hit that like button.
hit that like button, subscribe to the channel.
Subscribe.
Leave us a comment. We'd love to hear your thoughts on all of this. So
Absolutely.
let's get into it.
So basically the whole point
of this deep dive is that we're seeing Trump use these kind of anti-trans messages, but he's doing it in a very specific way.
Yeah.
And that is by targeting men who love football.
Men who love football.
Yes. So let's talk about
That's right.
how he's doing that.
Yeah.
What are we seeing?
Well, one of the really striking things is that his campaign is running these anti-trans ads during NFL games.
Oh, wow.
And you think about it.
That's smart.
Millions of people are glued to their screens on Sundays.
Yeah.
And you're reaching a huge audience,
Yeah.
and a good chunk of them are the exact demographic that Trump is trying to reach.
Wow. Yeah.
And he's not even being subtle about it.
No.
He actually said at a recent rally, and I quote this, "Get your husband off the couch. The football game doesn't mean a DN thing. You got to get out and vote."
Wow. So he's directly telling these wives, these spouses, to get their husbands to go vote.
Out to vote. And it's not just like a
get out the vote message. It's very much tied to
it's very pointed.
this anti-trans messaging.
Yeah.
So what are these ads like?
Well, some of them are really interesting, actually. Like one features Charlemagne Thigod.
Okay, yeah.
And he's voicing his opposition to taxpayer-funded health care for transgender prisoners.
Okay.
This is obviously
It's a complex issue.
a very complex issue.
Yeah.
There are valid arguments.
On all sides?
On both sides, absolutely. But by focusing on it in this way, the campaign is tapping into certain anxieties,
Right.
like economic anxieties, concerns about social change,
Right.
things that can be very powerful motivators for voters.
Absolutely.
And it's not just the ads, right? It's not like this is just a one-off thing.
No, it's a whole...
This is a pattern.
It's like a whole strategy.
We're seeing Trump and his running mate, J.D. Vance, weaving these anti-trans talking points throughout their campaigns.
Okay.
They're focusing on things like transgender athletes in women's sports, creating this kind of culture war atmosphere,
Right.
and using it to try and really energize their base.
So they're really leaning into this to try and get
those voters out.
their base out to vote.
Absolutely.
And we see that playing out in really specific ways, right?
Oh,
like there's that attack ad against Senator Sherrod Brown in Ohio.
Right.
And in that ad, they're accusing him of supporting sex change surgeries for minors.
A very sensitive topic, obviously.
Oh, absolutely. And, we have to remember, this is a topic that's often misleading ways.
Framed in misleading ways for political gain.
Absolutely.
But the point is, they're really hitting hard on these issues.
They are.
And to really underscore that, the New York Times reported that for an entire month,
wow,
every ad run by the top GOP super PAC, and just so everyone knows, the super PAC is basically a group that raises a ton of money to support a candidate.
Millions and millions. So every ad that they ran was all about Brown's stance on transgender issues.
So it really shows you how central this has become to their campaign strategy.
Yeah.
They're really going all in on this.
They're going all in. But is it risky? Is it a risky approach?
Well, some people think so.
Yeah.
There are some LGBTQ advocates who are suggesting this might actually backfire.
Okay.
Their argument is that even though transgender issues aren't at the top of most voters' priority lists, these ads could actually end up increasing negative feelings
towards the transgender.
And that obviously
doesn't really help anyone.
Doesn't win you any points.
Yeah.
So it raises the question, does this type of rhetoric, while potentially effective in rallying a certain base, does it alienate more moderate voters in the process?
Right, alienate the people in the middle.
The people you need to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's such a good point. And it's something that even Tim Walz, the Democratic VP nominee, has picked up on. So that's right.
And I think it's interesting.
He's a former football coach?
He's a former football coach.
Yeah.
So he really knows
both
politics and this audience.
His audience.
And he's talked about how demonizing transgender people has become almost a go-to tactic in these campaigns.
It really makes you think about the bigger picture, right?
It does.
What does this say about how we talk about politics today?
Yeah.
Is this kind of targeted campaigning using these deeply personal issues an effective way to win votes? Or does it just divide us further?
Those are the big questions.
The big questions.
Okay, so let's quickly recap everything we talked about today.
Let's do it.
So basically, we're in the final days of this really close 2024 race.
Yeah.
And we see Trump's campaign targeting men who love football with these anti-trans messages.
Yeah.
We talked about how those messages tap into anxieties, cultural touchstones.
All of that.
But the big question is,
will it work? Will it work?
Will it resonate with voters or will it backfire?
Yeah. What do you think?
Only the voters can tell us.
Let us know down in the comments.
Let us know your thoughts.
Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next deep dive.
See you then.
Pop everybody.
Bye-bye.